Hey gang, you seem to enjoy story time a lot more than I thought you would. I'm not necessarily going to change gears as far as, well, no, I need to leave that garage door up. Hang on, get back up there. I think get back up. Okay. You guys seem to like story time. I'll give you what you want. We'll talk a little bit more about Bill. And I've got something in the shop that I did grab. I way overpaid for it, but that wasn't the what's the word? I didn't care how much I paid. It was the appreciation that this was something that Bill made with his own hands, and to me that was priceless. I've made a lot of things with my own hands that other people see as being priceless to them. Bill didn't make this for me, but it was something that his hands touched, so I wanted it. And we're at the shop, and I'm looking at 8 push mowers. I've tried to get a hold of Mark to find out what he wants to do with his 4, the 3 Tecumsehs and the Honda knockoff, and so far he hasn't called me back. So they're just sitting out here waiting their turn. Then I've got a Craftsman that came to me. It was donated, and 1982 3 horsepower Briggs push mower. It's actually, at the time it was maybe a $40 or $50 push mower, but back then things used to be made right, and this push mower was made right. So I think that's the first one I'm going to throw up on the bench. I'll show you guys the difference in the quality from then and now with what is considered a disposable push mower. But anyway, let's get out of Clifford and go ahead in the shop, which is right behind us. We'll see you guys there in just a minute. Okay, you can hear it running in the background. We're starting I guess another story time, but there's going to be some valuable information in this. I'm going to do a couple of story times. Both story times will have valuable information in them, but they're also going to include some other stuff that you guys might not know about Zippo. So you can hear it running outside. Guess what's back? The Earthworks Conquest. I was so worried that I had done something wrong, but I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. I'm using the Hero 5 without I'm still waiting on my goodies to come in to help. So I hope you guys can hear me okay. But let's get over to the Conquest that's running and see if you guys can hear the problem. You guys could hear that or not, but there's the ever so slightest miss in the engine. Barely noticeable. The coil sets in these things, you have 2 coils, and in between the coils you have wires that connect the 2 of them, and so that you don't end up with a double fire condition, because that magnet's going around and it's hitting those coils. Every time it goes around, it's hitting both the coils. Well, you don't want both of them to fire. You only want the one that's on the compression stroke to fire, right? Make sense? So what did Briggs and Stratton do to remedy that problem and keep one cylinder from not firing when the other cylinder needed to? They put a diode in the wiring. A diode allows electricity to go one way, but it won't let it come back the other way. With these coils, as it's going around, you're at what? I think they're 60-degree engine, 60-degree V-twins, compression stroke, fire, while the other cylinder is on the intake stroke, to pull fuel into the cylinder. As the engine rotates around and the flywheel comes back around, it then puts the next cylinder on the compression stroke, and then it should fire. Without that diode, or if that diode goes bad, the cylinder that's on the intake stroke is actually firing and burning the fuel because it's double firing. That cylinder is firing on the intake and it's acting like a two-cycle. It's firing on the intake stroke as well as the compression stroke. So here's a set of coils out of an intake, but same thing applies here. Unfortunately, the diode is easy enough to see. Right there is the diode, and that diode is what prevents both coils from firing at the same time. Electricity comes through, fires on the compression stroke, fires on the compression stroke, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the diode prevents that sacrificial spark from happening. Well, the diode has gone bad on the Conquest. Like I said, when it came in, I was worried it was something I did, and it wasn't. He mowed 6 or 7 times, and then it developed this problem the last time he went to mow. Easy enough to fix. Buy that diode wire set, put it in, should be golden. Now, how do you check that? How do you make sure that that's what the problem is? It's actually pretty simple. There's 2 ways of doing it, and I performed both tests on this when I did it. You start the engine and you put the engine at idle, and it's really important to have a tester like this that has a real wide gap. I don't know how well you can see the gap in there. You should be able to see it okay. It's a really wide gap. You're going from here to that clip, here to the lobster clip, okay? And you put the engine at idle on one cylinder, and you can see the pulses, the spark. You can see the spark jump across that gap. It's the frequency in which that spark jumps across the gap at idle that you have to watch. You do it on one side, then you do it on the other side. You should be able to see the pulses on either side. It's kind of like looking at a strobe light. So at idle, they both should be equal. If you notice that one side, the pulses are a lot quicker than they are on the other side, it's a good indication that your diode has gone bad. That's a quick generic test. I did a compression test on it before I started that to make sure that the valves were okay, because that was what I thought was going on first, that the valves were out of adjustment. Not the case. It has the same compression that it had when it left the shop. 150 on the left bank, 155 on the right bank. Perfect in that respect. So if you don't have one of these, another way to test is if you have an infrared thermometer. And that's easy enough to do, because you just go to the exhaust manifold, the exhaust pipe on either cylinder, shoot both of them. If one of them is cooler, noticeably cooler, 100 degrees, 200 degrees cooler, then you know that you've got a problem on that cylinder. You know it's not compression, so it's got to be either fuel delivery, where on those particular engines you've got independent jets for each cylinder. You could have a clogged jet on one side, or you could have that sacrificial spark coming in and igniting the fuel on the intake stroke, which greatly reduces the amount of fuel in that cylinder on the compression stroke. There is a little bit in there, but it's not enough to get the full benefit of that cylinder's power. So you just shoot the exhaust manifolds. That was the second test that I performed on it, and it fell right into place with doing the spark test. The strobe was much quicker on the right bank than it was on the left bank at idle. The temperature of the exhaust pipe on the right bank was a lot less than it was on the left bank. So that confirmed it was that diode that I showed you guys a little bit ago. So I'm going to end this one. It is an informative one, not much of a story time, but I introduced this video as story time, so we're only at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and continue just by showing you guys these two push mowers here. Got a Craftsman 6-horse. Shouldn't be much of a problem to get running, so we're going to attend to it. But this is the one that I really want to see get running, because that is one thick, heavy, solid deck. And it's neat that the engine is mounted backwards. It's mounted in the opposite direction that they usually are. And it is a 3 horsepower Briggs & Stratton with an embossed case. I like that. It's an aluminum bore, so we'll check compression, check spark, check the carburetor, check the gas. This is an unmolested push mower from 1980s. It is 35 years old. And one thing that is neat about it is that you can pull that handle down and lay it down here, and then loosen these wing nuts and fold it over, so your complete package is only this wide. That's it. That's the entire package. Very, very easy to store. I thought it was a neat older push mower, and it's certainly nothing fancy at all. Obviously, you can tell by looking at it. No adjustable wheels, but the wheels are in impeccable shape. The wheels have actually been replaced, you can see here. And if anybody knows what this hole on the deck is for, I am guessing that is to rinse the deck, to just blow water in there to clean the deck. But if somebody a little smarter than me knows why that hole's there, let me know. The way that it's angled, it's not going to let grass come out of it, because the blade rotates in a clockwise direction. Let's take a look underneath and see what we've got here. We've got a really nice blade. I don't see any oil down there, so we're good in that respect. Blade's nice and straight. We can pop it off and sharpen it up. This makes somebody a good generic push mower for a little bit of nothing. So it's got a really big plug on it for draining the oil, and we'll certainly change the oil in it too. But it looks like it's been well loved and well cared for 35 years. So we will see what we get out of it when we get it up on the bench. I don't know what we're at time-wise here. Let me check. We are at 10 minutes and 24 seconds, not too bad. This one is early enough, it does not have the safety. This was back when people had enough common sense not to run over their toes. Just a little slide cable. Just as simple as it can be. And light as it can be too. The thing weighs almost nothing at all. This Craftsman actually may go ahead and donate parts to get this one running, because I do need a carburetor for that one, and they are essentially the same engine. One's just a little newer than the other. This one's a little newer, so we may just do that, swap that. I'm waiting on a carburetor to come in, so it's not going to hurt me to pull this carb, put it on that, and then put the new carburetor on this one when it comes in. These two are for properties of KT Pawn, the guys that I get a lot of my pawn shop finds from. And then we'll come over here again and take a look at these. The cord for the starter on this has been cut, but the cord's there, and it is a 120 volt electric start. Pretty much a top of the line Craftsman push mower sitting here. I'm not sure if there's a battery in this. Let me check. There might be a battery. Okay. There is a battery, so it's a battery box. Sorry, the light isn't the greatest. So since there's a battery box, that means that the charger is gone. We'll have to see what's going on with that. I'll pull the numbers up. It's got a neat little cog system here, so you loosen this up and you can put the angle of the handle anywhere you want to have it. Nice big handles for adjusting the wheels. The wheels adjust independently. It still has the pull start backup. Then we come up to this one, this Craftsman 6.75, pull start only. Appearance wise, it looks like it's in good shape. It is a gear driven front wheel drive. Then we come up to the Husky 21 inch, and I mean they all look real decent, so I'm not sweating getting these running. And this Lawn Boy here does not look very old at all. I'm going to see if the year of manufacture is on here. No, I can look it up, but that's not a very old one at all. Mainly, you can tell that because it has a 4-cycle engine on it instead of a 2-cycle, thanks to the federal government and the EPA. But we will get into those when Mark finally calls me back. That takes care of the push mowers. We're at about 13.5 minutes plus the intro. Let's do this real quick. This is what I was talking about. Let's get this up on the workbench, and we'll talk about this little tiller after a while. Here's my little session. I decided to use the 5. Hopefully the volume's going to be good, or it'll be a bunch of wasted breath. That's a can crusher that man made, and it is heavy duty built, and he machined and built everything on here. Got 2 holes for adjustment. He actually put roll pins in here in all 3 places. This is a solid block of steel, and that piece of steel is about 1.5 inches in diameter. Excuse me, 1.5 inches in thickness. You see it down there. But the way that this thing was made, just incredible. I'm about to lose my camera. They put chicken wire up so you can put multiple cans in it before you have to crush them. Then he put a fulcrum lever on to give him a little bit more can crushing ability. But look at that thing. That is a work of art. That is made by somebody who, and this is Bill Turner that made this, made by somebody who you know has a machining history. And look how beautiful the welds are. I could only hope. I could only hope. But that's what I wanted to show you guys that I was talking about in the video that I overpaid for. And I didn't buy it for me. I'm actually giving it away today. I'm going to go to breakfast over at the family's house here around 11 o'clock this morning. It's 9:30 now. But isn't that just the neatest thing? The attention to detail. I mean, he even made these plates and welded the chicken wire to those plates. You can see these tiny little welds here. It's either weld or solder, but whatever the case, that's the attention to detail that, boy, I really, and I talked about it in the other video, I really wished that I had had the opportunity to meet the man and talk with him. It's just a beautiful piece of, just a beautiful example of his workmanship and his attention to detail, just in a simple can crusher. Look how thick walled, you know, Schedule 60 or Schedule 80 pipe used here. Just beautiful, beautiful workmanship. Very, very well thought out. So I'm going to clean that up, and that's going with me to breakfast to give to Jeff, so that he can replace the store-bought flimsy one that he's got hanging on the wall next to his beer cooler. Anyway, we have gone on long enough, and you guys got some half-decent information in there about the Conquest and about checking spark on a couple of coils. You got to see a little closer look at the push mowers that are going on out there and what the plans are with them. And we'll talk about this one in another video. That is a little tiller that came in, that Andy brought in with his Conquest. So we will catch you guys on the next one. Zippo later. I'm out of here. Please smash the like button.